Okay, so at this point, your paper more than likely looks something like this, where it gets lighter and darker as you go down the line. In fact, you can see in mine, this one's darker than this one, and if I wanted to go down the line correctly, then this should be the lightest, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. So we have to figure out a way to control our pencils. And I also, you'll notice that it looks very scribbly, like you kind of see the zigzag marks. And if you look at the example down here, you don't really see that as much. And that's really what we're kind of trying to go for. So I want to show you an advanced drawing assignment that they just finished up. And so this is a sphere that one of my students drew. And if you really look at it, it looks very round and smooth, and you don't see pencil marks so much. And it's because they blended it. And when we say blend, we never use our finger, so you never do one of these jobs where you blend with your finger or tortillon. We just use really good pencil technique, which I'm going to kind of show you next. So back in junior high, if you had a large space to fill in, sometimes you lay your pencil down on the side and you kind of use the side of the lead, and we're not going to do that. Or sometimes you would do the whole back and forth that it looks like this. And then the problem with that is when we do another area and those two overlap, you'll notice in the center it gets a little bit darker, and we really don't want that. If you want a smooth surface, we need to figure out a way to get rid of the grain, which is where you see the pencil strokes, and then also the overlapping, which we call river. So we want to try to get rid of those. And so this is what you're going to do, and it seems strange, but it works really well. You're basically going to scribble. So you're going to take your pencil, and you're literally going to scribble. There's a technique called the squircle, which is a square, star, circle, and you just kind of keep doing it over and over and over again. And you scribble enough, and eventually it becomes a very smooth surface. So in the beginning, it looks terrible, but the more you layer it, the better it works. Now, having said that, when you did it the first time, you went over the area probably one time. But when we scribble like this, or we do the squircles, we're going to be laying like 10, 20 times over top, which means that you really, really have to be light on your pencil. So when you do this process, in the beginning, you're going to hold your pencil all the way back here, and you're going to pretty much let gravity do the work for you. So when I make marks, I barely hear it, and I can barely see it. And then when I lay marks on top of more marks on top of more marks, the more I scribble, the smoother it'll get, but the darker it gets. So you really have to super back off on your pencil. So in this next row, now that you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, if I get in close enough, you can see this is darker than the paper, but you still really can't see the pencil strokes, which is really kind of what we're going for in comparison to this one where I can see the pencil strokes, I can see the grain, and it's not blended very well. And so everything's going to slow down, so it probably took you maybe 2 minutes to do the whole top row, if that long. But now you're going to find yourself doing 4 or 5 minutes per box. So everything really, really slows down. You start taking your time. And then my suggestion would be to start with the lightest, and again, hold your pencil back as far as possible. And then the next one you do the darkest, because that'll help you figure out how to fix these in the middle. If you start with the lightest, and then this one's a little bit darker, then that means this one's going to be too dark, and then this one's going to be, and before you know it, you're going to run out of room. So you want to start on the kind of the two extremes, so the lightest first, then the darkest, and then you can start figuring out the middle. For this area here, what we're going to try to do is try to blend it. So you'll see it starts with a 2H, which of course is the lighter. And as you come down, you're going to switch to the HB and then onto the 2B. But what's going to happen is we're going to try to blend it so it looks nice and smooth across. And we're going to work with the 2H. And then when we get right around here, we're going to introduce the HB as light as humanly possible and then go heavy. And by the time we get here, we're going to be overlapping the HB with the 2B. And so we're going to kind of start working between the three pencils to try to smooth it out. On the box down here, you'll notice it doesn't tell you what values to use or what pencils to use, because at this point you should know that a light value is going to be a 2H pencil, and then so medium value, if you look in the medium range, you should be able to figure out pretty quickly which pencil you're going to use. And in the dark range, same idea. And then here on the ball, it just says from 6 to 1. So here it doesn't even tell you where the light area should be, but hopefully you can kind of figure it out. So I will give you multiples of these sheets, and if you do like a really great job on all these boxes except for one, grab a new sheet and just do that one box. Like it's not about the sheet, it's about just learning the information. And so you can do as many as you want, and you can print off more copies if you like. But that'll get you kind of caught up, and so when you come back to class, We'll work on measuring a little bit, which we've been doing for a couple days, but at least you'll have the pencil technique down, and then it'll be a little bit easier for you to get caught up. All right, thank you so much.